Today I am talking with Kyle McNamara. He is a health coach who years ago, while he was still in college, started having thoracic outlet syndrome symptoms with his whole hand and arm going numb and tingly. So in this video, he's going to be talking with us about how he solved his own thoracic outlet syndrome problems without surgery. So if you're thinking about thoracic outlet syndrome and you're looking for alternatives to surgery for thoracic outlet syndrome, you're going to want to listen to what he has to say. All right, Kyle, so thank you very much for joining us today. Now, you experienced thoracic outlet syndrome symptoms. Can you tell us about when it all started, what you noticed, and how old you were, all that basic information?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. So thoracic outlet syndrome started for me in college. I experienced really bad discomfort in my shoulder on my left side and my neck. Um, and yeah, and I had tingling down my left arm into my hand. And I, when I was trying to get into weightlifting, and as I tried to do so, I would get elbow pain in my left elbow. So that was, yeah, that was not ideal because I wanted to start weightlifting and I couldn't do that because of the elbow pain. And yeah, it was just super uncomfortable. Like it got progressively worse in college. So I'd be in class, like rolling my head, like trying to loosen up my neck and shoulder because it was super uncomfortable. Um, and and so I saw lots of specialists for this. I saw orthopedics, physical therapists. I saw sports performance specialists. Um, yeah, chiropractors, you name it. I was just trying to see like anyone who could know how to help me. And not only could I not really get advice on what to do and like what would be effective, but I also basically couldn't get a diagnosis. So I didn't really know what the issue was because no one really knew what it was. Um,
Could I pause you for 1 second?
yeah,
When you were sitting in class and you were feeling uncomfortable, what kind of symptoms were you feeling? Were you feeling your hand, or was it just the elbow, or what was going on?
yeah. The elbow pain was mainly just when I would try to weightlift.
Okay.
The the shoulder discomfort and the neck discomfort, especially on my left side where the main issue was, that's where I would feel it. It just felt like everything was super tight. The tingling, yeah, would go down into my hand. So I'd feel that like basically all through my arm.
While you're
And
just sitting there, like your arm is just
yeah,
tingling. Yeah, okay.
yeah, just tingling and like um especially when I was in a hunched over position for a while, like I hated classes where there was bad back support because I would be like I'd have to support myself more and it just led to like I don't know, like being in more of a hunchback posture, which just made it worse, especially like over the course of an hour. Um, so yeah, it would just progressively get worse over like the class period. Yeah.
And
I
then
didn't
just
feel as much when I was like walking and stuff, but especially when I was sitting. Yeah.
okay. So then you're trying to get clarity. You're seeing all these specialists, and you were saying nobody could tell you what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah. They weren't sure. It was kind of frustrating because I would get like jumped into a program or like trying something out, and we'd realize like I don't know, in a chiropractor I might get my neck cracked each time and like do icing and heating and stuff, and we'd realize like five copays later that like I'm not like it's not really working, and so yeah, a lot of time and money spent on treatments that didn't necessarily do much. Yeah.
And then how did you land on the thoracic outlet diagnosis?
Yeah, so someone finally referred me to he suspected that I had TOS. He referred me to a thoracic outlet syndrome surgeon and specialist in Boston. He was like literally one of the only four thoracic outlet syndrome specialist in the country. So like all he does is TOS.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I met with him and he ran me through some tests based on like blood flow and stuff into my hands. He determined that I very likely have TOS. And yeah, and so the first option for treatment was physical therapy because that's like the least invasive.
Hmm.
So I did physical therapy for a few months, and basically it managed the issue. I did a lot of like stretching, like moving my neck around, moving my hand around, like trying to increase blood flow and mobility a little bit. Some very light work with weights, but that was pretty much it. And it didn't really improve the issue, and it didn't get a lot. It didn't really get worse. It didn't really get better. So it kind of just like managed the issue. And so because it didn't get better, I basically became a candidate for surgery. Um,
How long was the PT? Was it like 3 months or 6 months?
yeah, it was at least 3 months. Yeah, I remember doing it from the end, like I think beginning of the summer and then through the summer. Yeah, it was at least a few months. Yeah.
Okay. So PT, stretching, a little bit of strength work, it sounds like, and then didn't work. So next stop,
Yep.
surgery.
So basically, the only option left was surgery. Um, oh, and by the way, I asked the surgeon in like when I met with him, uh, so what do you think caused the TOS I have? And he said, genetics. You were just born with less room in your chest, and so everything's tighter, and so it's just not conducive for proper blood flow. And he's like, I see people sometimes when they're 12, see them when they're 40 sometimes, but it's inevitably going to happen, but it's just a matter of when. And so, yeah, I mean, that was just crushing to
Wow.
hear. Like it was,
Wow.
it was like, I mean, because I'm someone that like, if there's something I can do with my health, like I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump in and like take control and do it, to better my health. And
Right.
and so it was so disempowering to hear that like there's literally nothing you can do. So yeah,
That's wild.
yeah, yeah, that was incredible to hear. But I mean, I accepted it at the time. I was like, all right, I mean, I guess that's the case. And so, yeah, I became a candidate for surgery. I, so there were a couple options for surgery. One of them was removing my top rib
Hmm.
and two muscles in my chest.
Would,
So,
wow. Okay.
yeah, so the idea is like to create
Right.
room in that area, to free up room so you can increase the blood flow. And that was going to be a 12 to 18-month recovery. So I kind of I kind of accepted that this is what I have to do. I was like, I've talked to so many specialists. I've basically, spent years trying to figure out what's going on. I finally know what it is, and I have a solution. And
Right.
so at that time I was like, I mean, I haven't heard of anything else, so this is, I guess, what I have to do.
Hmm.
And I didn't like the idea of losing like three body parts and um, having to go through all that recovery time and everything. But it was like, what other option do I have? Like, I can't live with this the rest of my life, right? So
And how
I guess
old were
I
you
have
at
to
this
do it.
time?
I was I was 20. I was 22 when I found out,
Okay.
or when I determined that, yeah, I have to get surgery. I was 22. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this
Um,
is a dark spot, and you're realizing
yeah.
I'm powerless here. Somebody's going to remove 3 parts of me.
Yep.
So what happens next? What happens next,
Yeah.
Kyle?
So from there, I remember being in the kitchen with my parents, and I was like, guys, I guess I have to get surgery. Um, this is what I guess I have to do. And my dad was actually the one that was like, um, you know, before you jump into this, why don't you just search online for other options. See if there's like anything else. I know you've looked a lot, but now that we know it's TOS, see if there's like any other options. And
Okay.
I was like, okay. And so I went to the computer, I searched alternative treatment to thoracic outlet syndrome. And right there, one of the first things that popped up was an upright health video with you, Matt, in it, just talking about how TOS is largely a lifestyle created condition, how surgery is often like not very effective. And I was super excited because it was like, oh my God, here's potentially an option. Here's a potential solution to the issue that's, outside of surgery. And so, yeah, I immediately went over to the Upright Health website, immediately bought the Shoulder Fix program, immediately started it that night. And I swear to God, I felt better after the first workout.
Okay.
Literally, it just, obviously nothing was like totally fixed, but it was
Right.
it was like as if, all right, I'm doing something that um, my muscles like. It feels good
Right.
for my muscles to be doing these exercises. And
Right.
so that was a moment of hope where it was like, okay, I'm still kind of skeptical about this because why have I not been offered it in the past? Like, why have I never heard of these corrective exercises and stuff?
It's just a random
Um,
guy on the internet. You should be skeptical. Absolutely,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Like, this is a program that's worth a couple copays, right? Like, is this really what's going to fix me in a few months? Like he says. And and so I was still hopeful, but it's still kind of skeptical.
Sure.
And sure enough, after a few months, I basically got completely better, and the tingling went away. The shoulder and neck became like happy again. They weren't uncomfortable. Like, just have a happy set of shoulders now, and then yeah, and this was years ago. So I've been weightlifting for years now, and like I get no elbow pain. Um, like making good progress with that. And so yeah, it was a huge success, and it all happened in a few months. All with like an online program that just empowered me to do corrective exercises. And it was like, yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
All right. So just to be clear for anyone who's listening or watching, I'm not paying Kyle to say any of this, so you can confirm that, right, Kyle?
Absolutely not.
All right. Um, so when I guess what would be helpful is just so people understand, thoracic outlet as Kyle is describing it, the way we're looking at it, the way Kyle's looking at it, the way I'm looking at it now is we're thinking about the muscles that position bones and thinking about how to make the right muscles fire so that the bones are in the right place. And so the surgeon's perspective is that the bone position is just determined by genetics, which we can show is just demonstrably false. You can move bone position using muscles. You do it on a regular basis. And so for Kyle, he just had to get some of the correct muscles firing in order to fix that bone position. So he had enough blood flow and nerve transmission ability into his hand going all the way through his arm. So it's not like magic. We're not suggesting that there's any voodoo tricks. It's just making sure the right muscles work. So I think, so then Kyle, I want to throw this back to you. When you're looking at your path, you did physical therapy and that didn't work. What do you feel like was missing, and why, what was missing, and what did the Shoulder Fix program fill?
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite different because in PT I was using super light weights when I did weights at all. So that was like, 1 pound, 2 pounds. Um, whereas like with the Shoulder Fix program, I'm using heavier weights. There's more of a strengthening component to it as opposed to just loosening things up, like moving things around, trying to like gain flexibility. Um, yeah, it seems like the the shoulder fix program was much better at like actually strengthening the the muscles that need to be strengthened so that the posture improves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's actually a. I'm glad you mentioned posture because, as you mentioned in your story earlier, the position, the postural position you're in for an hour sitting at a desk would obviously make things worse. And that's a very common thing for people who have the thoracic outlet diagnosis to have, right? The more you slouch, the more you're in that hunchback, the worse the symptoms get, which just goes back to, well, can't we just turn the muscles on to improve the posture and reduce the symptoms? Um, okay, so in PT, it sounds like you were just kind of doing just like light stretches and kind of moving around like that and trying to open up and loosen. That's about correct?
Yeah, yeah, it seems loosen's the right word for it. I think it was a lot of like, we would do heating packs, cold packs on the area, uh, moving the neck around, moving my wrist around. Yeah, definitely just trying to like loosen things up. We do some doorway stretches, some external rotation, um, but yeah, overall just trying to loosen things up.
Right, right. So for you, the shoulder fix basically got you stronger. So what did you notice? Can you talk about maybe one exercise that you noticed was particularly helpful for you and has been helpful for you over the last few years?
Yeah, one of them that I still do pretty like sometimes is the trap raise.
Hmm.
That one was definitely, yeah, definitely helpful for me. I can, if I'm like, if I was ever feeling, you know, any discomfort coming on, I could do like trap raises, and I don't know, there might be like some type of component in that exercise that like just targets an area where I'm just not utilizing on a daily basis or is susceptible to becoming like uh, I don't know, like losing comfort and flexibility in that certain spot. Something about the trap raise.
It's just your magic dose of medicine to get you feeling
Yeah.
good, right? Yeah.
I mean, usually if I just ran through the whole set of exercises, that would be what would fix, what would, yeah, make me feel good, like right away.
All right, so after you got better and you're feeling better, you mentioned to me that you reached out to a surgeon, or you reached out to the surgeon.
Yeah, so the same doctor that I initially talked to and kind of diagnosed my TOS and told me about like the surgical options. Um, after I healed with the shoulder fix program, I reached back out to him and I was like this is amazing. He has to know about this. So I
Hmm.
reached out to his assistant and I told him like I'm better now. I don't need surgery and I'm happy to talk with you about what I did if you're interested um, in hearing about it. And basically got crickets. Like I was told, we're happy you got better. That's great for you. But that was pretty much it. They weren't very interested in hearing about about what could help potentially so many people that they're trying to help, and that could have something to do with the fact they're making thousands on these surgeries.
It
um,
could.
could might be at play,
Can't say
but
for sure.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, what a story. I mean, yeah, you make thousands of dollars on the surgery, your incentive to investigate something that might remove the need for that surgery is going to be lower. Right? It's going to be quite a bit lower.
seems so.
So you said now it's been a few years since you were at the lowest point. What's your fitness routine look like now? What does your free time look like? Or do you ever run into issues? What are you able to do now?
So yeah, now, I mean, one of the main things is just feeling good. Like I don't experience like nearly as much shoulder neck discomfort. I get no elbow pain when I weight lift. I lift about like 3 days a week now. Used to be more, but yeah, pretty steady 3 days a week. And that's going well. I yeah, I basically like I can sit at chairs, sit in like an airplane, all of that without getting like super uncomfortable with my shoulder and neck. Although I try to avoid it and try to like maintain a good posture throughout the day.
So I think that's actually a really important thing to touch on, right? Is um, you're not invincible, right? Like you can. What would happen if you did slouch and not train your shoulders for, I don't know, 2 days in a row and like basically just threw yourself on the couch and watched TV and never did anything for your shoulders? Do you think the symptoms would come back?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because so I recently started doing the shoulder fix program more now. I do it probably a couple times a week.
Hmm.
Um, before that, like a few months ago, I wasn't really doing anything in terms of that.
Okay.
I was doing some band work a little bit, but like pretty regularly, but I definitely wasn't being thorough with it.
Hmm.
And I started feeling the discomfort coming back. And some exercises that I like workouts would be tough, like holding the bar on a squat, like behind my head.
Hmm.
So there's certain things where it would be like it would act up, but now that I do shoulder fix program like a couple times a week, it's that's pretty much what I think I've found to be like a pretty good balance of like the amount of time I put towards it, and it's still like maintaining healthy posture, um healthy muscles in my back and chest and
Nice.
shoulders.
So, yeah, it's so important for people to understand that nobody is suggesting that there's a quick fix uh, that lasts forever, right? So, except for surgeons, they are suggesting that. But what we're talking about here is the muscles have to train, and you have to continue to train the muscles in order to maintain the posture, maintain the positions that keep you out of discomfort. And, all of us are sitting in front of screens all day, on our phones all day, hunching ourselves in. Even if we're weightlifting, if we're not paying attention, we're not being very deliberate about what we're doing, we can pull ourselves deeper into dysfunctional positions. So I'm not happy that you had symptoms kind of come back, but it's also great that you learned what you need to do to be able to maintain a happy set of
Yeah.
shoulders and hands, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that like now I feel like I can somewhat recognize like based on how I'm feeling um with my shoulder, I can like somewhat recognize what exercise is going to address that properly. So
Good.
then I might focus more on that one, and then like that happens to be what makes me feel good after. So it's like it's kind of cool like you have that connection with understanding what exercise is effective in that case.
Yeah, that's great. So that means you're developing the internal sense, or like a better internal sense of body position and being able to understand the signals that your body's giving you, right? So, if we made this like an even simpler example, it's like I can sense my arm is out here, and if I hold it out here to the side for like 5 minutes, I'm probably going to get shoulder discomfort because the muscles around my shoulder are going to get real tired and they're going to tell me to put it down. That's an easy one. That's fatigue that we all understand pretty intuitively. But then when we start getting the discomfort that you're talking about, where we start feeling like, oh, it's like, oh, I got to move it somehow. A lot of times we don't understand what those signals mean unless we've been doing a lot of different movements, a lot of different exercises, and have the contrast, which you've now experienced over months of experimentation, years of experimentation. And I'm excited to hear it from somebody like you because that means you're you're moving along the path of understanding how your body works, and that's ultimately what everyone needs to develop to feel good. So that's, I'm so stoked to hear that.
Yeah, I'd say the same applies probably for stretching too, which is cool. And that was one thing I really liked about the shoulder fix program is um, I remember you mentioning in, I think it was in text, how you should just pay attention to your body in this program and listen to your body, which is cool because like you're getting the feedback right there with your body. So it's, yeah, that was like a cool component of it.
Such an important skill for people to develop, so important. Whether you have thoracic outlet or whatever somebody told you you have, you know, body awareness is so important. So looking back at your journey over these last few years, if you were going to talk to yourself at that lowest point when the symptoms were the worst, any advice that you would give to yourself? So anybody else who has TOS can hear that advice right now.
Yeah, I would say just stay hopeful that it's not genetic, it's not long lasting. I mean, I was thinking at the time that like I might never get to weight lift ever, like in my life. That just might be not an option for me. And that was like, you know, crushing because like everyone else just can jump into the gym, like not even stretch or warm up, and they just start cranking away. And it's like, geez, I can't do any of that, and like maybe never will be able to. Um, and it's like cool to know that, and this is, I guess, advice I would give is just know that um, your health, the health of your body, could be right around the corner, right? It like it can happen faster than we probably anticipate, definitely faster than I anticipated, and it's just all about just staying disciplined with the program and the exercises and just doing them regularly. And then the results will just come if you just follow what you needed to do to heal.
So you, I, I don't know if this was as a result of this, but I think from our previous conversation we had, you were mentioning that you are really into um, health in general. You're really into kind of like process-oriented habits that help people get healthy. Can you speak a little bit about that, like how what you're pursuing there parallels this?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I've been into health for a while, and I think um, it was somewhat developing. Like my like education and passion for health was developing like as I had TOS. So it's kind of cool looking back that like TOS and curing it actually reinforced the idea that so much of the health issues that we face in the US and other developed countries are lifestyle created largely. Um, so yeah, in the same way that you can utilize corrective exercises to improve your posture and um, and solve for muscle imbalances, we can also use lifestyle to um, address, you know, so many of the diseases we face as a country. Like, so that's my thing now is I'm a health coach and I help people adopt a plant-based diet because it's super effective at preventing, reversing diseases like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, obesity. Like these things are so related to nutrition often that a plant-based diet is super effective in addressing those, as well as boosting energy, improving sleep, just feeling good and feeling younger and living longer. And so that's what I do now, and it definitely overlaps with like the corrective exercises, which also utilize lifestyle as the solution, as opposed to drugs and surgery.
Nice. So you're kind of helping people see how all the dots connect, right? See how what you put in gives you a certain result, right? And If all you're doing is eating sticks of butter all day, you're probably not going to feel great. But if you can eat something nutritious, move your body well, you'll be a lot better off. That's huge.
Absolutely.
If people want to get in touch with you, is there a way they can find your content or get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website is wholefoodsplantbasednutrition.com. Kind of a long one, so I'm trying to break it up. wholefoodsplantbasednutrition.com.
Got it.
Yeah, and then you can reach out to me there. I have some blogs there. I have an Instagram, Kyle McNamara _ or at Kyle McNamara _. So there as well.
We'll throw that in the notes so people can find you there. Kyle, thank you very much for taking the time to share your story and talk with us about this. It's so important for people to hear about the ability to recover from thoracic outlet without surgery and to see that it can be done for long periods of time. So thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. And I hope this helps people realize that they can, take control of their health and how effective lifestyle is for it.
All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this one. Remember that pain sucks.
And life shouldn't.
I hope you found Kyle's story really helpful and inspiring. I'm going to drop a link to the shoulder fix in the description box and in the comments so you can find it easily. If you are looking to find Kyle, head to his website. His links are going to be down below as well. Like this video, share it with somebody you know who needs to hear this information about thoracic outlet syndrome and surgery. And as always, I hope you remember that pain sucks. Life shouldn't.
Every time